Were you entrepreneurial from an early age?
I was always entrepreneurial, but my reason and my motivation for being entrepreneurial was different than one would think. In most cases, people are attracted to money and they're attracted to wealth and power. And while I definitely like the power that comes with wealth, because I have the power to influence change, my motivation was really trying to give me something to belong to, some purpose in life. And I was always awkward. I was the small, long-haired, fat kid in the neighborhood that was always the last person to be involved in everything. And so I found that I was really good with numbers and I was really good with my mouth. And my mother said, if you talked as much in business as you do outside of business, you're going to be very successful in business. So I started selling candy, I started cutting grass, and I started doing a lot of things that a lot of small entrepreneurs do as kids. And most people hear that and they roll their eyes. When I tell you I was in the candy business, I was in it. I used to probably make $2,000, $3,000 a month as a 9-year-old. And then I got into the lawn business and I was probably making $5,000 a month. And it wasn't the money that excited me. It was the empowerment of being able to change things that took my loneliness as a kid and it gave me sort of a different stature in my neighborhood. All of a sudden, I became the guy with cash and the guy that could hire you and the guy that could fire you. And as a 9-year-old, when you don't understand the importance of people because you're just a punk kid with some cash in his pocket, you start to make bad decisions. And I think entrepreneurship, which is a loose way of saying I don't really have a real job, I just make one up on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, gave me the ability to find my own footing. It gave me the ability to understand what I was good at and what I wasn't good at. But more importantly, it gave me an identity, something that I was really missing.
And from what I've read, your exposure into the auto industry, there's always like two names that come up, or two gentlemen in particular that seem to have either served as mentors, have created opportunity for you. If you could speak to that.
You know, I would say that Wayne Huizinga was clearly an influence of mine, but Lee Iacocca also was. And people always ask me all the time about Lee Iacocca stories. And now that he's passed, I keep my stories far more G-rated than when he was alive because I felt like I had a license to talk more freely. But I'll say this to you. Anytime I get asked the mentor question, people assume that a mentor is somebody that is an elder statesman with financial and business success that's going to teach you how to be like them. And I would say that it was quite the opposite for me. My mentors along the way were people that worked in my family's business or people that worked in different businesses that I had that were on the front line that gave me a different sense of reality than you would see in an ivory tower. Really understanding how the worker is affected by the employer and how the worker is affected by the customer and how the ultimate worker, the people that actually make the bread and butter, not the people that buy the bread and butter, the people that make it. I learned early on that in order for me to be successful in business, I would have to have my ear closer to the ground at the front line and less to the ground at the executive office level. And in many cases, that got me in trouble. As I was starting my career and I was trying to move up in companies, I always slanted to be the employee's manager, not the owner's manager. And it was a problem for me early on because I didn't play the game of politics. I rallied my troops and I let performance of the business or performance of myself sort of do the talking. But I realized that it was the performance of the people that I worked with, not my own performance, that opened up the doors for me. And ever since that moment in time, particularly in investing in these small businesses, I realized that if I don't have the attention of the frontline folks and have the attention of the customer, that it really doesn't matter long term.